The Nedgroup Investments Rainmaker Fund, managed by Abax Investments, has outperformed the all-share index by 3.4% per annum. That's over the last 10 years. It's one of the few funds around that can lay claim to being able to consistently and comprehensively outperform the market. Joining us from our Cape Town studio to discuss what the fund has been buying and selling is Omri Thomas. So Omri, we all want to know the secret. Talk to us about your current South African equity position. What do you favor in the South African equity space?
Hi, Bronwyn. Yeah, it's currently quite difficult to find value in the market. We've seen a fantastic run in our market, and it's becoming difficult. The pickings are becoming slim. The area that we're currently finding value in is the risk area of the market, or perceived risk area in the market, and that's resources. Now, if one take into account the global macro environment, one would say that that's quite a strange area to be finding value, but we think a lot of the negative outlook and falling commodity prices are already reflected in current valuations. So we've significantly increased our resource holding and funding it from the defensive area of the market. So we sold some of our defensive shares, most notably South African breweries and British American tobacco, and have used the proceeds to increase our resource exposure.
Omri, just on that note, I see two interesting, just getting going, because the resources make up a fairly big component of your portfolio. You've sold down African Rainbow Minerals, and you've been buying fairly aggressively buying Anglo-American Platinum. How do you make the distinction between the two companies there? One's obviously a diversified mine, and the other one's obviously focused on platinum. Was it just valuation, or are you actually taking more concentration in the commodity itself?
Our exposure to the platinum sector is still fairly low. It's at about 4% of the fund. What we like about platinum is the production of platinum is very much concentrated in South Africa. So even with the concerns that we've currently got about the strikes that we've seen and the cost curve and the high costs that the platinum industry is operating at, we believe that should be reflected in the platinum price over time, because otherwise we're going to start seeing production cuts happening. Amplats remains the biggest platinum producer in the world with fantastic long-term resources. So although short-term the earnings outlook is not very favorable, we still believe it's one of the companies that's best positioned to take account of or take advantage of a recovery in the platinum sector going forward.
One of your biggest holdings is MTN, Omri. Are you holding this one for the long term? Do you think there's significant upside to MTN, although we have seen those heady levels of late?
Bronwyn, what we like about MTN is its cash flow generating nature. The company sits with a lot of cash on the balance sheet, so quite healthy cash levels. They have been buying back shares. It's trading at an attractive dividend yield. And what we've seen is there's a lot of interest in the African growth story. But if you look at MTN's exposure, it's one of the companies with the best African exposure that you can get. So we think it remains an attractive play on Africa, and you're getting it at a very reasonable valuation.
Just one question. Obviously, it looks like the contrarian pick in your portfolio, Omri, is you hold a big chunk, 7% of the portfolio in Anglo Gold, and we've heard nothing about, we've heard plenty of misery coming out of the gold industry for some time. Yes. Is it a case of waiting for that margin to increase between the Rand gold price and the costs? And how do you view that cost base going forward?
Yeah, Warren, we've been too early on that one. The gold companies have significantly underperformed the Rand gold price, and as you rightly point out, I think a lot of that's got to do with the increase in the cost curve, and them not being able to recoup it on the top line with increased production at the higher Rand gold prices. We think again at current levels, it's actually trading at reasonably attractive levels. For the first time in a long time that I can remember, you can actually start buying a gold company at a single-digit price earnings ratio 1 year forward. So for us, as part of portfolio construction, having such a big exposure to Anglo Gold at these levels, we feel quite comfortable with.